Hi, friends and family,
Welcome to Hope After Addiction
with your hosts, Katie Comer.
and Chelsea McLeod.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hope After Addiction. We are so happy you've joined us, Chelsea. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Anything new in your life?
Jasper's about to be 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was just pregnant like yesterday. That's what it
So
feels
how
like.
is the 2-year-old stage or almost 2-year-old
Oh
stage?
man,
Is it different?
Yeah.
I know, because I've been there.
Right? You're like I asked because
I
I
just
know.
wanna see
Yeah.
how you're doing.
He is so much fun. His favorite word is no, but
Yeah.
then he adds no with attitude. I was like, I'm okay with you saying no, not with attitude.
Just say,
So,
no, ma'am.
That's exactly right. John said this morning, he said, that's got to stop. I was like, every child has a no phase, but the attitude has to go.
You want to know when another phase is real fun?
No, I can only
Why?
handle one at a time.
I remember my kids going through the why stage.
Oh, the question.
I remember it specifically with Eli. I think I posted about it so it comes up on my time hop. But he went through a why stage, and it was everything that I said.
No.
I was like, I would say something is why, because I said so, but why? Like over and over. I was like, this is real fun.
Did Ella do that too?
I don't remember specifically with Ella.
Okay.
But I think it's only because I made a post about it with Eli that I remember it
That
so
makes
specifically with him. But I was like, oh, this is,
Yeah.
how do you explain stuff to like I don't know how old he was. But those stages, I mean, they're fleeting, but
And he's precious.
they're harder, and they're precious.
He's so much fun, but it is hard.
But like, how do you like not laugh sometimes?
Listen, the first time he did it, he turned around to me and I told him to stop doing something. He looked at me, he said, no. And I had to turn around and I laughed so
No.
hard.
Like, how do you not?
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Adam says I'm the worst. I
Totally.
laugh at them, even at their stages now where they really understand that I'm laughing. Or if I'm like disciplined.
Yeah.
I have a giggle. I'll probably get giggles now. But like, I have a giggle, like, and I'm like looking at them and trying to discipline them. But their faces are so darn cute. And I just have a really hard time. And I said, I'm going to need to take a moment. And I have to leave and laugh. But like, I'm going to have to discipline you because I love you. And then I start laughing.
You're like,
Adam's like,
turn around.
it's just the worst.
I'm
I'm the worst.
I know. But they are so darn cute that it's hard to.
I know. I'm there with you.
Yeah. It's
Parenting's hard, man.
But he's so much fun. And just to
He's
update
cute,
on the
too.
chickens, he loves his chickens. He is not afraid of them.
Chickens.
I'm a
Are
little
they
scared of
growing?
them. They're huge. And he'll go right up to them and pick them up. And they don't feel as it's mutual about him as he does about them. But it's adorable.
How's the laying eggs?
They won't start laying until August.
Oh.
So we want to get some already laying hens, but we're starting with our 4 first.
Oh.
To get acclimated to chickens. They were pecking my feet the other day, and I was like, oh, no, do not peck my feet.
Pecking your feet. Wow.
Jasper will say, no.
No. No. Well,
Yeah, so
Cute
all's
babes.
well. I know.
Good.
It's so much fun.
well, we're glad you joined us today. Today we're going to be talking about something that was inspired by our producer, Jorian. We were talking about something, I don't remember, it was a few weeks ago before we were taping, about forgiving people. We were having a hard time with something, and we were talking about forgiving people, and Jorian just goes, we can't graduate forgiveness. So,
Mic
I mean, it's
drop.
just like it's just a process. And we just looked at him and we're going, that's a genius
bulb.
thing. It's true. Forgiveness, man.
It's tough.
Especially when you're dealing with this kind of stuff and it's affected your life
Yeah.
so hugely. And there's consequences that can happen down the road
Yeah.
over and over and over, even though what's been done is even in the past. It's a process.
Yeah.
And he said it best. You can't graduate from that. Like you can't
Yeah.
graduate from that. So,
So true.
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And forgiveness. I know we've already done an episode on forgiveness. But we'll probably have 3 or 4 more
Yeah,
episodes
maybe
on
15.
forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because you can't graduate it. So
That's right.
That's
We
what we're
always have
talking
to
about
remind
today.
ourselves. Yep.
What you got for us?
Well, I was thinking I processed through because I've had 2 major forgiveness scenarios. One was with my father, the other was with John. And it reminded me because I had such an aha, life-changing, heart-changing experience with my father.
Yeah.
But I had not seen him for 26 years, nor did we pursue a relationship. So I was able to forgive, release the bitterness and anger. My heart changed to compassion for him, and then that was that. With John, I was doing life with him. So I was constantly reminded of the pain, of the heartache, of the lies. And so it all depends on your situation too, what your forgiveness journey looks like. Just because those were two extreme.
It was.
You know?
And you're, like you said, with your father, he wasn't in your face daily.
Nope.
You could kind of put it out of sight, out of mind. I forgive you. I forgive what you've done. It still was a part of your life in a sense because it's a part of your story.
Right.
But I feel like, was it easier?
Yes. Yeah, and it was weird because I had been through 26 years of, I think, coming to that.
Yeah.
Whereas John, we agreed to continue walking in life. So I was constantly reminded.
Yeah.
You know, and John has a couple scenarios of people that he's forgiven and he's away from, but then he gets back around them and he's like, whoa, I got to continue to forgive, continue to renew my mind in this. So there's so many different stages or different pathways to forgiveness based on what pathway you're walking with that specific person.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I was thinking about this. What is the consequence of not continuing to forgive?
Listen.
So there's a consequence. I mean, if you don't continually put this in the forefront of your mind of somebody who's wronged you, yes, you can say, I have forgiven you. But when, like I just said at the very beginning, with this process of addiction, it has affected so many aspects of your life. It might have affected your job.
Yeah.
It might have affected you having children. It might have affected you in so many, losing family members. Like you've lost contact with your mother and father. I don't know what it is in your life, but there has been consequences because of somebody else's actions.
Yeah.
The consequence of not continuing the process of forgiving is the bitterness and the resentment.
Anger. Yeah.
And the anger, and that can creep up into your life. So I would encourage you to really think about, not have I forgiven them, because I have no doubt, like if you're listening and you're like, no, I really believe that I've forgiven them, and that might be true, and that and I commend you for that, and that's, you know, something, when I'll get to this in a minute, but the Heavenly Father has forgiven you too. But Lord, but it's just an act of continuing, you know, because we continue to sin.
Yeah.
God
All the time.
continues to forgive us.
Yeah.
And so they might not be actively in their addiction, but it's just a point of saying, you know, I have forgiven them on that.
Yeah.
Let's continue. Because if not, then that's where the resentment comes into play.
Yeah.
You feel that? Have you felt that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And unforgiveness is what harms us. It doesn't, of course it'll affect them, but it harms us. And I was just studying for this. There's actually research shown that unforgiveness, I was gonna say messes with, but affects your physical health and your mental health. And it just reminded me of my dad's situation where I forgave him after 26 years and I got pregnant with Jasper not long after that.
Oh, yeah.
So that manifested in my body, but also in my mental and my spiritual well-being. And once I forgave him, I feel like my body released what it had been holding for 26 years. And I was able to have my little miracle baby. And so, and you know that when you, for those of you that have really come into forgiveness, your entire body, your mind, your spiritual well-being changes for the better. Because it's like they say, and you've seen it everywhere, but it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Unforgiveness. So we drink that poison every day and think it's affecting them, us not forgiving them, but we're the ones dying inside, not them.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
one thing that I was, when I was preparing for this, I just kept going back to, I mean, it's simple when you think about it, but but God's forgiveness. We don't deserve God's forgiveness.
No.
We deserve hell.
Yeah.
That's what we deserve. We don't deserve him. I just mentioned it. We sin all the time.
Yeah.
We continue to sin. We do not deserve him dying on the cross.
Yeah.
And forgiving us, giving us a pathway to be with him forever. And he, even in the Bible, talked about how many times should I forgive this person? 70 times 7, like over and over and over. So if that's what it takes for you,
That's right.
that's what it takes,
Yep.
over and over. And that's daunting, I know. But there's times like I've forgiven Adam for what he's done way in the past, but he still ticks me off sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a continuous process
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
of forgiving somebody.
Yeah.
And same, I'm an angel, so I never
Well,
make him mad, but
that's right.
if I ever do,
Yeah.
there's a forgiveness there that needs to continue to happen. And God has given us a perfect example of what that looks like in
Yes.
his word. So
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to 2 Corinthians, which I know S2L stands on really strongly, is take every thought captive. So when those thoughts, those triggers, whatever comes in, we have to take it captive and be like, I do forgive you. I have forgiven
Yeah.
you. This is why.
Yeah.
And it goes back, I don't remember what episode, maybe it was a forgiveness episode, but one of the retreats we do, and Denise had this vision of God holding out his hands and blood all over. And it's like so many times when I don't want to forgive, I see his arms and he's like, was my blood not enough for them? And it's, I have to go to that place because he died for them. He died for us. He died for their sins.
Yeah.
And so I visualize that because as I'm a visual person, him saying, was my blood not enough?
it's powerful.
And for a man who hangs on the cross and says, forgive them for they know not what they do,
yeah.
after they have battered and beaten him
And mocked him.
and
Yeah.
mocked him. And it's just like, who am I to hold them in contempt for something that they've done? And I think that's that place that we have to come to is we are broken people. We're all broken people. And so it is that grace that we give. And I think when you come to that place that you don't take offense, and maybe that's another episode we should do, is offense. But when you realize when somebody hurts you, 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with you.
It's true.
It goes back to something they're dealing with,
Yeah.
a stone in their heart from the past, something that offended them that you didn't do that's a stone from their past.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time, it's not about you.
Yeah. These guys, they definitely, I say these guys, the guys that are in S2L, that's the program that we're affiliated with. If you don't know, we don't always talk about it, but it's an all male facility. And so when I say our guys, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They hurt the people they love the most.
That's right.
But it's like you said, it's typically nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault, right? It's something that's happened in their past.
Yeah.
Like you said, something that's gone on, but they're going to hurt the ones that they love the most. Adam hurt me, the one he loved the most.
Yeah.
He hurt his parents. He hurt my parents. All the ones that he loved the most. We cared about him the most. So
It's such a good point because, John sees the ugliest parts of me. He's my person and he loves me.
Yeah.
He is, I can show those sides of me that aren't always pleasant, and I know he's going to love me through it.
Yeah.
And so it takes us humbling ourselves and coming to like, you know what? You didn't mean that at me or towards me. I'm going to grace you on that. And understanding, as I always say, understanding is grace. The more you understand that hurt people, that we're all broken, that we're all going to hurt each other, it gives you more room for grace to forgive.
Yeah. I like that.
Which is hard, but the more you do it, it's like that. I was teaching a love language class last night or Sunday night, and we were talking about the more you do it, it's like a golf swing or a batting swing. When a coach comes up and says, hey, you're doing this
Repetition.
wrong. Yeah. It feels uncomfortable. It's weird. It's like, I don't like this. But the more you do it, the more that bat and that swing gets more comfortable, and forgiveness becomes more of your second language than your 25th that you don't understand at all.
I like that.
So,
I like that. That's good.
but the more, and we've had to forgive a lot.
Yeah.
So the more we've done it, we've also seen the fruits that have come from it.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have forgiven, Katie and I wouldn't be in the place that we are today with the life that we have. And if unforgiveness would have continued to run our lives, we wouldn't have the husbands that we have today.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
No.
At all.
No, it's not.
know?
And the process is not easy,
Yeah.
especially that first time, kind of walking with them through that. The first approach of forgiveness over what they've done is really difficult.
Yeah.
And searching in your heart, have I really forgiven them? But then recognizing that you need to continue that process of forgiveness. Yeah.
Yeah, and another tool for that I was thinking about is anytime you're holding somebody in contempt or you're struggling with somebody, immediately pray for them and watch your heart change. Because how can you be so angry at somebody when you are genuinely praying for them?
Yeah.
And your whole life. I mean, and there's people that I've been bitter with, and I'll stop and pray for them right then. And God humbles me so quick, whoops my honey over it. Like, it's... He changes it quick.
Yeah.
So that's just a tool. When you're struggling with somebody, stop and pray for them.
I've had to, this is probably not the right approach, but that reminds me of something in college. But this is, in college,
Before you were 21.
Go back to watch the last episode. No, I was really angry with this person.
Yeah.
Adam and I didn't date in college, so I was dating this other guy. I was really angry. We had broken up, really angry with him. But you were saying pray for them because how can you be angry with them? Well, I was like, I can't stand to think about them. So I go to one of my best friends. I was like, I can't stand to think about them, but he needs prayer. Can you pray for him and intercede on my behalf? I don't know if that really defeats the point purpose of what you said.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to need you to pray for this person. Pray for them because I literally can't think about them anymore. And they were like, okay, I promise I'll pray for them.
But make sure you intercede on my behalf so it's coming from me.
So it's coming from me. I did say that. I said, I need it to be interceded on my behalf.
That's good though. But see, you're graduating. You're, and I put that down like, we will never graduate forgiveness until we enter heaven.
Yeah.
Period.
It's true. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Once
We
you sip
won't.
at the very end.
I know. I was
That
like,
was a mic drop
bye.
moment. Yeah. Yeah,
But
we
that's
won't.
our
That's
graduation
true.
from forgiveness from whatever. It's like we were talking about Jorian. You will never graduate in your sanctification,
Yes.
whatever it may be.
Right.
Our graduation is when we enter heaven and we graduate forgiveness because everything has been healed and whole.
Yeah. I also want to say this. When you're going through this process of healing and forgiveness, forgiveness is also, there's a difference between forgiveness and being like walked all over.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even trusting again. There's different processes.
Yeah.
So I when I was thinking through all this, I wanted, especially for that woman who's like me, it's like a little naive, turns their head the other way. There's a difference between forgiveness and letting somebody completely take over and walk all over you. And there's also a difference between forgiveness and trusting somebody again.
Yep.
So you can forgive them, but there's also a huge trust process that goes on outside of that. So we're not saying that once you forgive, everything's fine, everything's
forget it
great.
all. Yeah.
Because that's not what we're saying. God commanded us to forgive because he forgave, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a separate part of that, which is trust. And we've done a whole episode on trust because it's one of our biggest things that we get. Go back and watch that. It's huge. We'll probably do another one, I'm sure. But it's different.
Yeah, and that's good because forgiveness is between you and God.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is not between
True.
you and your person.
Yes, that's a good point.
So when Katie says that, because I'm so glad you reiterated that, if there's abuse, if there's anything like that, you can forgive and not
be
that's
around
a
that
whole
person
other,
still.
yeah.
Yeah.
But know when you're walking into this, and keep that close to your heart, that forgiveness is for you and God.
Yeah.
For nobody else. And that's where you have to have that heart change with God. It's like, God, I trust you that you're going to handle this.
That's a good point.
That you're going to redeem what's been broken, that you're going to handle it.
Yeah.
It's you and God.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up, because that is a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And you can pray to God in the trust process. God, help me trust. Like, I was able to forgive them, but like, help me in this trusting process.
Yeah.
Give me some ways that I can trust them, or avenues in that. So, because that's just a difficult thing, and that's definitely a process as well. So.
Yeah, it is a process. It's worth it.
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
a process.
It's true. Yeah.
Especially for your sake, because
Yeah.
you need that healing. Despite what road they take, if they've gone through treatment, if they're living on the streets, whatever, you have to come to that place for your healing and for your life.
Yeah.
I mean, because the bitterness, and that's what somebody said, it's like a callus over your heart. The more unforgiveness you have, it's like a callus. And I will tell you, it keeps you from so much beauty in life if you are living in unforgiveness and bitterness. And so you're robbing yourself of what God has for you by keeping yourself in those places.
Yeah. It's crippling.
It's crippling. That's a really good word for
Yeah,
it. It's
it can
crippling.
be. Yeah.
And I've been there, and that's why I say that, is because it did rob me. Mainly with my father, in 26 years in unforgiveness, it robbed me of so much because my heart was so calloused. And I had to take that time to start chipping away. We're just talking about the dentist, but like chipping away at that callus. Like, you gotta deal with this. You gotta hurt from this. You gotta mourn this. You gotta grieve this. You gotta forgive this.
It's just so beautiful, though. I mean, we were actually talking this in a previous episode of your valleys that you've gone through with your dad and then John and stuff. And although that was a long road of forgiveness for you, you're able to speak so beautifully to people who are able to see that you can forgive even though it's been so long, and what that can potentially do and what that forgiveness can do in their life. And it's a beautiful thing. So I'm very grateful to sit next to you and be able to walk with you in that, and
You too,
and hear
sister.
that. So
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
It's
So,
special. And I feel like God gives you those nuggets of still, like why you've gone through what you did. And
Yes.
we got a message from a girl that we've been working real closely with this week, and just tears filled our eyes because of just us meeting her where she is. And she's like, you guys have been the light besides Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where I'd be. And I told her, I said, you're one reason that my pain all makes sense today. And like, that's how God uses our valleys.
does,
That's why.
yeah.
And I tell my girls that I work with and my guys, I said, God needs you. God needs your story. God needs your valleys. Like, don't quit now. God's going to use this. And the world needs you, because there's not enough.
He'll use this lesson of forgiveness
That's right.
to do a podcast.
That's
to
right.
encourage others. So
That's
so
right.
good.
Speak that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else on forgiveness?
I think that's it for
Is that
today.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you so much. We hope that you felt encouraged to know that forgiveness is a process. You can't graduate from it.
That's right.
It's ongoing, and God commands us of that. So He forgave you.
Yeah.
So let's forgive others. And
One last thing. I just thought about it.
Okay,
I
go
have to
for it.
say it. The Holy Spirit put this on me this morning. You may be the one that you need to forgive.
Ooh.
That was one thing that God showed me at a retreat one weekend, and I had not forgiven myself. So if that is you today, I encourage you to dig in to forgive yourself for whatever you've done, for whatever you've not done, for whatever you regret. Forgive yourself.
That's good. Yes. Be encouraged today.
Yeah.
If you like our podcast and you're listening to this on YouTube, give us a like, share our YouTube page. If you have questions about anything, if there's a topic that we have not hit on, we get a lot of our material from questions and interactions from our listeners through our social medias, which you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Hope After Addiction. So message us. We love to hear from you. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a blessed day, and we'll see you next week.